Hi guys, this is Coach Amber from Racket Volleyball and Fistball Club. Today we are going to be going over zones in Fistball, but these zones are specifically along the net. So we have a video talking about the serve zones, which is numbers 1 through 9 plus the hand signals. We have another video for back players or players who are picking in serve, receive, and defense that are the distance away from the net. So that's A through D. And then that also talks about in system versus out of system. And in this video, we are talking about the along the net. So this is really important because these zones help us distinguish what kind of offense we're setting up and the transitional movements that the strikers may have to make when the ball is in this zone. And the way that we distinguish this is by colors. So the colors are red, white, and blue. And the reason we chose that is because we're from the United States and those are our flag colors. Another reason is because the words red and blue help younger athletes understand what side of the field is what color. So the red zone, which is here, is on our right side. So red, R, right. And the blue zone is on the left side of the field. So blue has an L in it, so it makes it easier for the athletes to remember it. And then white it's clean, it's the brightest, it's the most ideal. So we typically want to have a ball set from the center of the field. So white is the center. It's also red, white, and blue, which is nice because it's like that as well. The white zone, which is the first zone we're going to talk about, like I said, it's in the center of the field. The reason why it's the most ideal is because the strikers don't have to run as far. So regardless of if you have a dominant left or a dominant right side striker or both, the strikers are running the same distance to get to the center of the field, which means that they're not wasting a lot of energy to strike the ball. The other thing that we talk about is that there's also the most possible striking angles from this location. And what that means is that if you want to send it to the right striker or the left striker on the other side, it's the same distance. So it makes it that all of the locations are equally as ideal. Now, obviously, there are going to be adjustments in their defensive patterns that you want to be aware of. But because this is a symmetrical sport, when you're striking, there aren't as many adjustments that the defense is going to make because you're in the center of the field. But you have the most angles that you can hit to, and you also have the ability to make as much movement adjustments as needed. Another thing that we are dabbling in the United States is running plays. And what that means is, typically speaking, left side striker is our strongest striker. So the setter would be right next to them, and then the right side would come to the net and recover any balls that may be shooting over the net. But if you're in the center of the field and you have a dominant right side striker, now if it's a controlled ball, you can start running plays where both players are getting ready to strike, and then they have the ability to make the most adjustments that they need to. So it's really important to try to keep the ball in the center of the field, but there are adjustments that you can make when you're in the red and the blue zone, which is what we're going to talk about. So the red zone, like I said, is the right side of the field. So the big thing is that there's going to be a major changeup in the offense if it's closer to the line. And the big offensive change is that the right side striker is going to run around the setter. So it's going to look like this. So then a right side and a left side striker are near each other. And the reason why this is really important is because if you have a left-handed right side striker, you're really close to the sideline, which means that they're able to create a hard angle. And what that means is, let's say that the right side striker is hitting right here and they're left-handed, they can hit a ball going close to the sideline like this, where then it will bounce out of the field. And depending on the way that the field is set up, it's going to be really hard for certain players to get to that ball because maybe there's an out of bounds area or bleachers or whatever. So we would want to utilize that right side striker, especially when we're closer to the sideline, because now the ball is only traveling about 3 meters before it hits the ground, because they have that ability to utilize that shot. If not, it also makes it that the left side striker doesn't have to run as far over. So if they really wanted to, the left side striker can be still in the center of the field. So if the setter wants to set closer to the middle, now they have two options, almost like in volleyball, where if the ball bounces past the right side striker, the left side striker has the ability to then get the ball where they want it. And that means that they're also still striking from the white zone. The only thing is that they have to be aware that if a ball is coming from a side angle, they have to adjust to certain bounce mechanics, which we'll discuss in another video. One of the downfalls, though, when you're striking from one of the sides, so the red zone or the blue, is that there are fewer angles that you can strike. And what that means is, let's say that you're a right-handed player. If there's players in their defense, so let's just say that they're in a typical X formation, if you're striking from here, if you aim at a person here, it's only a certain distance. Now, this is also not assuming that they're adjusting the defense, but if you wanted to turn the ball to your stronger side as a right-handed player, it's a really long distance, which gives the other team a lot of time to adjust to that ball. And typically speaking, a lot of left-handed left strikers, so right-handed left strikers, are the ones that are going to try to strike this ball. And even if it is a right-handed right striker, this location is not an ideal spot to try to strike to because the distance is really far. So that is one of the downfalls of striking from the right side in the red zone. The last thing is that because you're in a third of the field, like I was saying, the left striker may want to, especially if it's close to the net, to get ready for a direct set, they might need to run from all the way over here to this side of the field, which is a lot of running. And if you're in a really long tournament, it may make it that you don't want to waste that energy. And it means that one striker, only one of the two strikers, doesn't have to move as much to get ready to strike. So then it makes it really obvious who the setter is going to set if the left striker is starting to get tired. So that is another downfall of this location, but there are still a couple of good things that come out of it. The next zone is the blue zone. So the blue zone is the left side of the field. So again, the L in blue helps athletes remember that it's the left side of the field. The offensive opportunity is a lot greater from this side, and the reason is because majority of players in Fistball are right-handed, and this is our more dominant side. So if a ball is set here, now the left side striker, just like on the right side for a left-handed player, can do a hard angle where then the ball will bounce out to the sideline. So this is a really good shot for a lot of players, and it is difficult to do. You have to have good connection with your setter, but if you get a good set, you have the ability to really utilize this shot. Another thing is that the right side could then transition into the white zone just like before. So then if the setter doesn't want to set the left side, they can still send it to the center of the field, and they have the ability to still have a striker striking. The other thing is, because you're in this zone, that means that the left side striker is doing a lot less running. They don't have to adjust the ball as much. So there is a what's the word? I'm sorry. A benefit of putting the ball into the blue zone. So in a tier system, white is top, blue is the next, and then red is the bottom. If you're a right-hand dominant team, if you have a left-handed dominant striker on the right side, then it would be white, red, blue. But it really depends on the offense that you have on your team. Lastly, the only real downfall to going into this area is that your setter may have to use their non-dominant arm. So if you have a right-handed setter, because the ball is starting to bounce to their left, in order to keep the control, it may force them to have to use their left arm to set, and that may mean that the ball won't be set as consistently as if they were to be using their dominant arm. And because you're really close to the sideline, they may send the ball really close to the poles, and if you hit a pole at all when you're playing, it is a dead ball. The other thing is that now there's the chance that if you're in the blue zone, that the left side striker might become the setter because it's so far over that the setter may call help. So just keep that in mind, that when you're playing, when you utilize these zones, it may change who the setter is and also who the dominant strikers are in each zone. So I hope that this video helps you out. We are definitely going to start utilizing these zones to help setters and strikers run plays and get more comfortable with the options that they have. We want the setters and the strikers to be as strategic as possible, and the first way to do that is to learn the zones and what to do when you're in each zone. And once we learn that, then we execute a proper picking location and style, so then we're able to replicate what we're practicing in gameplay. So thank you so much for watching, and keep watching our series. Bye guys!